questions, which might be a bit scary. It's a bit scary for me sometimes, but I invited James up a few months ago, and I've never told you this, but because we don't know.
Now's not the time.
We don't know each other that well. We've got mutual friends, and we've met a few times in passing. About 4 or 5 years ago, I'm a season ticket holder at Leeds, as you know. Chelino's here somewhere, isn't he?
Chelino's there.
And I got the football with my dad, and about 4 or 5 years ago, we got to Elland Road and we walked in, and you were there with Howard Marks, and we introduced my dad to you, and we had a little chat, and then we went to our seats, and my dad said, "Who were them two then?" And I said, "Oh well, the younger guy was James Brown, who arguably or unarguably changed the face of British publishing, and the older guy was an international drugs dealer." And he said to me, "You got some strange mates, you know." I said, "James has got a really amazing story." And we went on, I started talking about some of the stories that I know about you, about this amazing journey that you are on, in terms of, it's like as an outsider, it looks like an adventure, and the adventure at the moment is you're doing this radio show, and you've been nominated for an award from
Academy Award.
Yeah.
That sounds great, mate.
Yeah. And
it's not the Oscars. It sounds good. If you get an award in British radio, it's from the Radio Academy Awards. So it technically is an Academy Award nomination.
But you messaged me the other day, and you were saying that you've got this award, and it's come off the back of not very many months of broadcasting this particular show, and you didn't really know the guys before you started it. How's that happened?
Well, this is I do this radio show on Saturday morning on Talk Sport between 11 o'clock and 1 o'clock. It's not on this Saturday because I'm up here, but it's essentially the only sports show on Talk Sport that doesn't have any sport in it, and it's hosted by Johnny Vaughan, and there's me and another guy who's Hanks, and the motto is kick football out of football, and don't let the football ruin a good day at the football, because we basically understand that for 95% of the people that go to football, it's a thoroughly uninspiring and miserable and disappointing experience, and especially at Leeds at the moment, and this is it's good fun. It's the best thing I've done for a long time, because it's like being trapped in a car with your mates in a traffic jam on the way to a game that you know you're going to lose. And that's pretty much a metaphor for life, really, isn't it? And that's what I've been doing at the moment.
How did that come about?
I was talking to TalkSport for a little while last year about getting involved in their station, and they rang me 4 days before the football season started and said, "Would you come and do a show on Saturday with Johnny Vaughan and a mate of his?" And that was it. And we went and did the first show. I'd interviewed Johnny I've been on the Big Breakfast with him like 15 years before or something, and I'd met him once in between that time. And that was it. And we met at about 10:30 and just went on and started talking rubbish for 2 hours.
It sounds good though.
Yeah, and this Saturday's the first Saturday I've got off from talking rubbish on the radio for 9 months. But it's very popular, and TalkSport don't get any reviews in the papers, and they got a review in the Guardian saying how good it was, and then we got this nominated for this award, which they were. I mean, I don't know what it is, but they were all very excited about it. So so that was that. It's just talking rubbish like you do with your mates on the way to football. That's why it's popular. One bloke got in touch. He said, "I love your show because you talk around the football," which is good. And we get a lot of submissions from social media. Has meant that now the audience more than ever can participate in whatever form of media you're involved with. So Saturday, because there were the allegations of a spy camera at the boardroom at Ellen Road, and also the toilets, and also there was allegations that there was spying incidents at Cardiff as well. We set up, just very simply, tweet us your football spy film crossovers, and that was it. We didn't have to do any more work for 2 hours. We had the radio, you had the travel news, the sports news, the adverts, the station idents, and then just reading hundreds of them out. It was great. It was simple.
What a life.
Yeah, it was all right. You know, it's good. It's good. They like the listeners like it. We like it.
Yeah.
It's very similar to when I did Loaded. Very similar. Basically, whatever you're talking about, you write down, and people realise that you've kind of got stuff in common with the audience.
It seems to me.
That's the trick.
Yeah. I mean, it seems to me that I don't really want to call it a career, because do you consider it a career?
Every time it starts to look like a career, it's gone tits up.
Right, yeah, absolutely. So that's. But it just seems like one
that's
of
the
them.
truth.
It seems like one.
Anytime it gets too serious, it just capsizes.
When did it capsize for you?
Constantly. Everything. It's like every football manager knows they're going to get sacked. Everything I know is going to end in some way or another. But it's best if it ends and you move on.
And that's what you've done constantly. You've
Yeah, I'm always capsizing projects. In fact, my new project that I've worked on for the last 3 years is called Sabotage Times. And the reason I call it Sabotage was to remind myself not to fuck it up and capsize it.
Well, we've got Dean Kavanagh, who's our resident Dean Kavanagh over there, and we had Andrew Weatherall up a little while ago, and we were talking about this almost, it's like an inbuilt, what did Andrew call it? Yeah, he constantly derails his career.
Self-sabotage.
Yeah, sabotage.
Yeah. Self-sabotage.
Do you do that?
Yeah.
I do as well.
What is it?
In fact, pretty much. The reason I came here is because I see it on Facebook, everybody who comes and talks. And when you asked me, I thought, yeah, I'd be quite happy to join that list of people who've also sabotaged their careers.
Yeah.
Don Letts, Alan McGee. You've had Grant Fleming, who I used to work with.
Oh, Grant told us some great stories about it.
Yeah.
Which we have cut out. He actually asked us to cut out. He said,
Why was
a
that?
little bit fruity. You'll have to ask him about that.
Okay.
When you started with the first fanzine,
Yeah.
what did you ever? Where did you see it taking you?
Well, what happened was, as pretty much everyone in the room will remember, in the 1980s. When I explain this in London, they don't understand what I'm talking about. Genuinely don't understand. The definition of a recession down there is you've got to sell the yacht. You know, I've heard somebody say that in a restaurant. This recession's really kicking in. I've got to sell the yacht. That's a true overheard comment. And so when I was getting to the end of the time I had to be at school, there genuinely weren't any jobs. It was about 1983, and I knew 2 people who had jobs. And one of them had left school when he was 15 and got a job as an apprentice as a butcher, and the other one in Kirkstall, where I lived, worked in his dad's greengrocers. And people were starting to go to FE colleges or just signing on. And I felt that pretty much there were absolutely no jobs that I was either equipped to do or would likely have me. And in fact, so I started this little magazine, and then the job, I was really into music, and I had a band with these 2 people here, and they were more proficient musicians than I was singer. So in many ways I was holding them back. And I knew I didn't really have in fact, I remember once we were rehearsing in East Leeds and we finished the song, and John, the bassist, turned to me and said, "You sang that in tune." And that was the first time we'd ever sang a song in tune, and we'd been going quite a long time then. So I was very aware that there were no jobs that on offer in general for people, and that there were certainly no jobs that I figured that I could do.
The sabotage is working.
And so, in fact, I got an interview for a job. I saw a job advertising Sounds, which was a paper that I read, and kind of word went round my school that I had an interview in London for a job. And I was playing football for the first 11, and as I was running out to play, the PE teacher ran out alongside me and he said, "Hey, you've got a job interview, Brown?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Who the fucking hell is going to employ you?" And that pretty much was the outlook. So, given that there weren't any opportunities on offer, I like reading the NME and the Melody, and I didn't like Melody, I like reading Sounds and NME, but I never really felt that the sort of bands that I liked got much coverage. And in those days as well, it's not like nowadays when you can sort of, the bands you're into are just covered constantly in the media all the time, because they realise people want to hear about them all the time, and they publish their own stuff on their websites and so on. There was a huge disconnect between what I was into and what was in those papers every week, and I used to buy them and just look through them and throw them away, throw them down in sort of frustration. So I started writing letters to them, to the letters page, just fucking annoying them. And then I sent a few reviews in. I reviewed our band. That got published. Remember that? I reviewed...
What was the name of the band?
Sisters Mercy. We were called the Butter Cookies. And we weren't career orientated. And that didn't go down well with the other bands that were playing places like the Royal Park and the 1 in 12 club. And then I got a few more reviews published in the NME and in Sounds. And I kept doing my magazine. I was just printing it. I had started the first one with 20 quid. And I was very good I was better at selling them than really printing them or writing it. And I just started, it was basically capitalism. Each one the first one cost 20 but made 40. So each one, we didn't have any adverts, which was just basically, that's the money I had. So I would sell them, and eventually people like John Peel started reading bits out of them. And the NME started reviewing them, and it just picked up from there, really,